All right, and we're live. All right, Kyle, what's the big news you had to give us today that you were so urgently wanting to come on?
Well, if Kyle were here, he could probably tell you.
No, that's
But
funny.
no,
We were just talking about the fact that I guess Brandon was joking around and I didn't pick up on it.
yeah, I was giving Jorge shit that he never promotes me, and apparently he took that as he needs to get me up here and promote me, I guess.
You know what? For a minute there, I was like, "Wait, I haven't had Brandon on. What are you talking about?" And I had to go back and look. I go, "Yeah, he's been on here, but that doesn't
Oh
mean
yeah.
you can't be on again."
Well, good morning, everybody in chat.
Let's see. We got Tommy in here, Sarah, Ty, and Lori. Thank you guys for coming in this morning. We'll see how this goes because we really are going to pull this out of our out of wherever you want us to pull it from. But
Yeah.
no, it was funny because just up until last night, when you texted me, it's like, well, what are we going to talk about? I said, well, what did you want to talk about? Whatever you want to talk about. It's like, what are we doing here?
Well, at the end of Jose's stream yesterday, with you two, you're like, oh, and then I'm gonna have Branton up here, and I think he's got some stuff he wants to tell you. I'm like, what? I have no idea what I'm gonna.
Are you and Kyle finally making it official?
What's that?
Is that what's going on?
Officially.
Whatever you guys want to make official, I guess. It's up to you guys. It's your guys' news, not mine.
He just asked Maya to marry him.
So, he did. Well, he did that. Didn't he do that in a live stream? I thought he had done that in that little short.
Yeah, that was. I think the Halloween one. I think it was on Halloween, if I'm not mistaken.
So, have they actually set a date for their actual wedding?
Not that I know of.
See, we had Jose Cota come in and Jim's Fish. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, it's early. Well, it's early for me. It's not that early for you, though, right?
No. I'm used to waking up at 5:30 for work, so it's. I slept till about 7 today, so that's sleeping in for me.
Yeah, I don't think I sleep much past 7 very often. Usually around 5:30 or 6 is when I'm up, and it's for no other reason than just being old. You know, you start getting older, you sleep less. You go to bed later, you get up earlier. But not because I have big plans or stuff to do during the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking.
So how's your fish room doing?
Fish room's doing good. I had like 30 orange Venezuelan Corys going, and I changed some water yesterday or the day before, and I don't know what went wrong, but I don't see them in there anymore. So I don't know if they died or if they're just like super good at hiding. But like up until then, I would see them swimming all over the container I had them in. So I'm guessing, I don't know, the water change might have upset them and they kind of croaked.
Is it planted, your aquarium, or
that they're in?
Yeah.
No, it's just a jar. So I put the eggs in a jar. Yeah. Yeah. So I put the eggs in a jar and then they all hatched out and they were doing fine. And then I wanted to change some of the water out.
You didn't siphon them out, did you?
No. No. It's just a jar. So I was just taking cupfuls out and then I would put cupfuls back in. So I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. They're weird because I thought I don't know how many times I've thought I've lost fish because I don't see them. It's like right now, I'm wondering. I haven't seen my half beaks, and I was looking and moving the top of the water, and I couldn't find them. The other day, finally, one of them came out. And I was like, "Where'd the other 5 go?" And but that tank has overgrown tremendously. I need to go in there and trim the hell out of it. So I don't know if they're hiding. I don't know what's going on, but it's just
one of those. There isn't much in here. It's just a sponge and like maybe a little bit of guppy grass and a couple of leaves. And I can't find them. So they must have not liked something about that water change, and I don't know. It's the first time that the orange Venezuelans have spawned for me, so maybe I don't know. Maybe they just weren't that healthy. I don't know.
Well, I don't have any of the exotic cories, but they tend to do pretty good. I mean, you kind of almost leave them alone, and there's enough detritus and stuff in the bottom of your tank that they'll survive. You don't even have to target feed them.
But, yeah, well, I was having to feed these guys, like I said, because they're in that jar. But and it's a big jar. It's one of those old the Cheeto ball jars, so it's probably at least 2 gallons.
Like a gallon.
Yeah, like 2 gallons. Yeah.
Do you have substrate in the bottom?
No, it's just bare. It was basically just to get them to hatch and then get them eating food, and then I was going to move them out of there. But yeah, I went to, like I said, I changed the water, and I was going to come back the next day and move them out of there, and then I can't. They're nowhere to be found. So I don't know.
We had a few more people join us. Aquafunk, thank you for dropping in. The Bud Files, thank you for joining us. Just one more fish. I can't read today. Peplin's Creek Aquatics and Asia is also here. Is she out in I thought she was out in Aquashella, if I'm not mistaken. I thought she was a guest on Eddie's live stream yesterday. Could be wrong. I've been known to be wrong a lot of times. So, and Jody just dropped in.
I think she lives down that way though, so it might not be anything for her to kind of she's in Dallas still.
In Dallas. There you go. So it was her. Okay, I don't feel bad now.
But as far as the cories vanishing, whatever. The cories will breed again. I mean, everything will breed again typically.
So there's really nothing for them to be able to hide in.
No, I put my hand in there. I swirl. I mean, I made a whirlwind. So if they were anywhere,
you probably crushed them then.
No, I just seen them flying around. Well, it got to the point I was watching the jar as like 15 minutes, and I didn't see a single one. And I mean, there's 30 little babies in there. I would have seen at least one.
Yeah.
And I didn't see any. So
yeah, but you still would have been able to see the bodies. I mean,
they were still real small.
Oh.
So I don't know. Maybe the snails in there ate them or something real quick. I have no idea.
Yeah, I pulled some peppercorn eggs the other day.
Yeah,
put them
that spawn from my L519s. So that was cool.
Oh, did you put them in the egg tumbler?
Yeah, so I got them in a tumbler. I didn't put them in a tumbler last time. I tried just to hatch them out in a breeder box, and it didn't work out. So this time I figured I'd tumble, because the first time I tumbled them and it came out good. Then the second time they spawned, I just put them in a breeder box, hoping that they would just hatch out and they're fine. But I must not have had enough water movement on them or whatever, and none of them made it. So this time I put them back in the tumbler. And
so why did you pull them? The parents wouldn't the male wasn't fanning them?
Yeah, this male, for whatever reason, he always, I don't know if he fans them too hard or what he does, but he always pushes them out of the cave every time. So I'll notice him in there for like a day or two, and he'll be in there and he'll be fanning, he's doing this outside, sticking out of the cave. And then I'll have to keep an eye on him, because eventually it's like he fans them too hard and they just keep working their way back, and then they'll just be like outside. And then he'll be trying to guard them outside, but you got the pygmy cories coming at him, and you got all the shrimp in there trying to get the eggs and stuff. And it's like, so I have to pull him every time. I don't understand it. I would much rather him raise the eggs for sure. But
now the shrimp, they will actually eat the eggs. I thought those pleco eggs were pretty thick that they wouldn't be able to get through them. I know they like to clean them.
Yeah, and they may be just cleaning them. I don't know, but yeah, they'll try and get on the eggs, and it makes the dad mad, and then he starts thrashing around, and you got eggs going everywhere, and So yeah, I got the main clump out yesterday, and I got some of the eggs that had gotten moved around, so yeah, kind of a dud as a father, I guess. I don't know. He just hasn't figured it
Or
out, or
maybe the
something.
cave structure might not be
Yeah,
the most
it could
conducive.
be the
Because
cave.
I
I
noticed
mean,
that's the one thing that I noticed with pleco caves is that I thought they all had to be like cylindrical, just round. But I've seen some that are like all smashed, and you would think, how the hell does the pleco get in there? But they do, and
yeah.
then they have all these weird odd shapes, but it makes sense because out of nature you're not going to find something perfectly round for them to get in and try to do a nest. So so maybe you go with a different style of cave that
And
is not so open.
There's a couple of different styles in there. This is the one he chooses. I think maybe eventually I'm going to move him. I got a tank right here to my left that I'm going to put him in. I've got one of the juvenile females in there already, and then there's a couple more juveniles floating around this fish room that I gotta pull out of tanks, and I'm going to get them all in one tank, and they're going to kind of be on their own. But I guess what I could do, if he still chooses that, prop it up a little bit, maybe put a rock on it so the cave sits like this. That way the eggs have to work a lot harder to come out. And if he fans them too hard, maybe they'll just kind of move back and then back
drop
down in. Yeah, that way it's kind of always forcing them back in.
Yeah, I guess Jesse is saying that he found that the ratios, but with plecos, usually you want the opposite, right? You want more males and one female or something like that. That's what I've heard.
With Corey's, that true. I've never found the male female ratio to really matter with the plecos.
Yeah, because
in my experience, yeah.
I forgot who I was listening to that was talking about with plecos, you want more males than females because males are the ones that'll guard the nest. So the female will get in there, drop eggs, and then she'll leave, and then the male will be stuck in there for as long as the eggs hatch. So if you had multiple males, you could have several clutches growing. But I'm not a pleco guy, so I don't know. And I could have just misunderstood the information that was being provided. But I thought that was the impression that I went away with from watching that video. But it was a while back. So
currently,
this is when I was trying to breed bristlenose.
Yeah, the adult breeders that I just have the one lame male, and then I've got the two females. So it's 2-to-1 right now, two females to one male. But I mean, they're laying eggs. It's just I don't know. I just think he hasn't figured out how to keep the eggs in the cave yet. I don't.
Are both of the females laying eggs?
That I don't know.
Because it could be that he's trying to rush one clutch to get to the other one to tend to. Because I as far as I know, with plecos, it seems like the male is the one that does the maintenance over the eggs until they hatch. The male wanted to breed again, it will kick the eggs out without noticing the female's back. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, on paper that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's why I want to say it was TNN Aquatics that I was watching a video, because I remember the time I had just gotten bristlenose, and that was the only why I was like, oh, I'm gonna try to breed these, not knowing that those guys are like guppies. You just put 1 and 2 together, and they're gonna put out babies like crazy.
Oh yeah.
And but I remember kind of trying to find information, and there was something to that where I thought it was interesting, because that was the only scenario where more males were recommended than females, because of the female will drop the eggs and then she leaves, and then she's ready to get it on again. Now, do those plecos, do they have a common name?
The
ones
honestly, honestly, I'm not sure. Maybe honeycomb. I don't know.
Okay, because I think I've heard that name before, but it kind of makes sense based on the patterning.
Yeah, or they have on them. Maybe the Rio Paraguay. I don't know. They get confused with the Wobbin Moosters, because they kind of look similar. So I've always just called them 519s. I can't speak on the common name. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, not that it matters, because depending on where you're at, they'll call them something different. They don't really have. That's the thing with fish, that we could call them something, but then you go to Canada and they call them something else, and you go to Mexico and they call them something else. So common names are, that's why they're just coming to that area.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, I got a lot of stuff breeding up here. I don't know how well the pygmy sunfish. So my pygmy sunfish spawned again. And I was finally able to like see where they had made the nest, and it was in a clump of moss that I pulled out, and I got it sitting in a breeder box right now. So we'll see if I get anything out of that. I've just been kind of feeding every day with a little bit of infusoria, just in case there's some in there.
Yeah,
it's so hard to see. They come out so small. They're like little larvae when they come out. I mean, they don't even like swim. They just kind of move fast, and then they'll like float down, and then they'll just like move, and then they'll just kind of like that's all they do for a while. And it's I don't even know if I can. I don't know. I went in there last night after the tank lights went off, and I didn't see anything moving around. So
those guys really need like slow moving water then. Because anything with water motion, they're going to be fighting against it.
Yeah, but I went in the parents' tank last night, so I pulled a couple of fry out and I got them in a breeder box behind me. But I went in the tank last night again, and there's still a bunch of real small babies. The only way I can really see them when they're that small is once they're big enough to start eating baby brine shrimp. I'll go in there at night and I'll shine the flashlight in there. You'll be able to see little orange bellies kind of moving around, But yeah, the adult pygmies are super small. They're they're about the size of a CPD. I mean, if not, maybe even a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I accidentally spawned CPDs. And the reason I say that because I had them in a 10-gallon tank with a bunch of guppy grass.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up moving them. Well, not moving them, I've sold them. And I thought I had gotten everything out. There wasn't anything in there because I was going to put some limias in there. And I could have sworn everything was empty. They either must have dropped eggs or something in there. But just a couple of weeks ago, I was in there feeding the fish, and all of a sudden, this little CPD comes up to the front. I was like, "Where did you come from?" Uh-huh. So it was either eggs that were in there or something, and it's so thick with guppy grass that even the limias that are in there left them alone or couldn't see them until he got big enough. But it's only one, and I don't know if it's a he or she, but
yeah,
he's the only one that's in there.
Those babies are super small too. I've actually got, that's what I'm looking at right here, but they like to spawn in the morning, so I'm actually watching them spawn right now. But their eggs are super small too. I've got fry growing up in the tank with the adults, so I've got two of Lowell's egg catchers, those little with the slide out tray and whatnot. And I haven't actually pulled the egg catchers out to harvest any eggs. So I'm kind of doing like a little experiment. I'm seeing if that, because I've got moss on the egg catchers, and that's basically the only media they have to spawn in. There's like some Anubias in there and stuff, but they're not going to spawn on that. And then I've got a bunch of floating stuff on top for the fry when they decide to come out. But I'm trying to breed them in the tank kind of regularly. But I got the moss over the breeder or over the egg catchers, and I'm hoping that the babies are able to kind of stay in the egg catcher in the moss kind of until they're ready, big enough they feel comfortable to come up and start being with the adults. So I'm trying to see if I can passively breed them in the tank with the adults to where the babies have a safe spot the adults can't get to, and they can come out when they're ready. So far it's been going pretty good. I've got 10 babies swimming up at the top. They're getting pretty big.
Yeah, what I'm finding now with the fish, because I if I can community breed, that's what I'm going to do. Because I don't want to be to pull eggs, and I just right now I don't have time to do it. It's not that I don't want to do it. It's just that my work schedule and everything else, it's just so crazy. And then the times that I am off, my wife wants to do stuff, so it's like, all right, so we'll be busy, so I don't have time to be babysitting eggs, watching them That's the whole reason why I pulled my angelfish breeders, because I didn't have time to start raising them, all the fry, because they do require some attention. And so now I put everything in the tank. I heavily plan it. What survives, survives. But I did find out in my swordtail tank, I had a bunch, I mean, hundreds of fry in there. And I knew what the outcomes were going to be. Eventually, some of these guys were going to get picked off, but I didn't care because it's not like I have an immediate place to go drop off a bunch of fry.
Mm-hmm.
But what I found interesting, the worst days for me is when I work nights, because I get off in the morning and I go straight to bed. And usually I don't get up till after midday. So there'll be times where I'll go a day or two without feeding that aquarium. And I'm not concerned that there's going to be a problem for the fish, but the problem is the concern should be for the fry, because they've been picking them off. As long as I feed the parents regularly, they leave the fry alone because there's food. They don't have to worry about chasing something. But the minute that I go a couple of days without feeding, they start picking up on the fries. So
yeah, and that's been a really good strategy for me, is as far as trying to get them to breed, passively in the tank with the adults, is just keep hammering them with food. I mean, just make sure they're not hungry.
Yeah, and as long as they're well fed, they'll leave the fry alone, and that's been mostly my experience.
Yeah,
but there are instances like this one right back behind me. You can't see it, but there's got to be over probably over 100 fry in there of the lyre-tail swordtails.
Okay.
And it's just, and I thought the parents were going to start picking them off, but they keep dropping babies. Those guys, I had them in a 10-gallon, and they only dropped eggs, not eggs, but they only had fries, like one clutch. But since I put them to this bigger one, they're just like clockwork. Every 30 days, they're dropping eggs.
Wow.
I mean, eggs, fry. So I got three different size fry in there, and they're doing fine. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I didn't get to feed it tomorrow. I'm going to come back and there will be less. But they're the only ones that are not doing that. As a matter of fact, the parents are always hiding back. You see all the roots from the pothos in there. Well, yep. they found that they like to go all the way behind the tank, and that's where they hang out. And then all the fry are up in the front, which is crazy.
Yeah,
but
it'd be interesting. Maybe eventually it'll reach a point where they're kind of like, whoa, we ain't got room for no other, and they just kind of stop. I mean, you hear people talking about that it kind of reaches that point where they'll kind of stop breeding because there's just no room. But I have yet to experience that, so I can't really speak on it. But
that's what Steve, Warrior Planet Tanks, would always say, is you reach the critical limit. And then he goes, because we used to have conversations about that. Should I put? He goes, just leave them in there, dude. Eventually they're going to stop breeding because they're just going to get to a point where there's not enough room. And it's ever since we've had I kind of do that with most of my aquariums, because it's not like, again, I might go every 2 or 3 months. I'll make a run up to that my friend's fish store and drop off fish, but it's 2 to 3 months that I'll go, and they just bunch of fish in there, and eventually they'll have this big boom, and then it'll recede back, and then it just kind of does that naturally. So a lot of the times I don't even sell some of it. It'll just kind of work itself out.
Yeah.
But let's see, we had quite a few people come in since we got started.
Let's give them a shout out.
Let's go back. I know Lori. I mentioned Jesse, Lori, Jody P is in here. Warren is in here. Thank you guys for coming in. John from My Fish Tanks Aquatics. Gabriel, GNC Aquatics, is here. Thank you for joining us this morning. I think he was getting ready for church. Ben, Lake Missoula Aquatics is here. Peplin. Let's see. And Cheryl, thank you for joining us this morning. I think that's, let me see. Is that everybody? Yeah, I think that's everybody. Sorry if I missed somebody, but I've kind of been glancing over here and there and looking to see who's coming in.
Gabriel says the the poor swordtails got to be hide behind the roots so that they can get away from you trying to watch them.
Yeah, of course, because I want to see how the process works.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
so as far as the fish room goes, I've got as many tanks up here as I have to set up. So no more new tanks for me for a while, anyways. And now I get to really focus on what I have, and kind of get my numbers up on all these fish, which I'm really looking forward to, because a lot of these fish I got right around the same time, because I mean this fish room's fairly new. I can't even remember when I started working on it, but so yeah, all these fish are more or less the same age, and they're kind of all starting to start breeding for me, which is really cool. Obviously, I've got some years to go on some of these cories. The green lasers I just got in, it'll be a while for them. The 236 plecos, those guys probably won't be breeding for a while, but everything else I've got up here is really, I mean, it's about time for me to start really kicking out some babies. So I'm looking forward to that.
Now, do you have a store that you work with, or you just do like go to the swaps, or how do you handle
Yeah.
your fish?
So far, well, I got into, I'm starting to do the auctions now. So that's a spot where I can get rid of some things, but mainly Tristan's Tropical Fish in Evansville, which is about 30-40 minutes away from me, which I'm actually going to after this live stream. I got to catch out some orange shrimp, some Bloody Mary shrimp, some of the ocean blue shrimp. He wants more guppies. What else did he want? There's a couple other things I gotta bag up, but yeah, so I'll be bringing him some stuff. And
now, are you doing like line guppies, or are you just doing like fancy mixed guppies?
I had the mixed guppies for a while. It was kind of a little project. That pond I have downstairs, it was kind of like, it was Willow's project, so we had a bunch of random guppies in there. And they were breeding just way too much, and they were too hard to get rid of. The specific lines I find, at least around here, are a little bit easier to get rid of than the mixed guppies, because if people want to mix the guppies, then they can just buy the guppies and mix them themselves. But if you're selling just mixed guppies, it kind of rules out half the market of the people that want specific line guppies. So the specific line guppies just sell better because somebody can either have the specific line, or somebody can buy those guppies to mix with their guppies, however they want to do it. So, but yeah, so I got away from the mixed guppy pond, and I got a bunch of rice fish down there now. They're breeding up a storm. But I've got 2 lines of guppies in the fish room right now. The orange koi metal snakeskin, those actually come from Ross, Baltimore. I've had those for, I don't know, about half a year now, and I've got quite a big colony of those going. But that's what I would be bringing him today. And then I got from Barbara Jackson, I've got the California red guppies, the ones that were in the Peplin Foxy wedding auction, which those are really pretty, and I can't wait to start getting some babies from those.
Now, is there a site or a source? Because that's what I've always tried. There's so many variations of guppies. That is there a place where you can go and see, okay, these guppies are this, or people just naming them, whatever they want to name their guppies and calling it a new strain, or how does that work out? I've never been able to figure that out.
I mean, I'm sure you can find a chart of like a lot of different guppies, but yeah, I think people just kind of get guppies, and then if you want to line them out into something different and call it whatever you want, I think that's pretty common. But I mean, there are some staples like, yeah, I don't know. I really don't dive that deep in the guppy hole either. But kind of like what are some of the more common ones, like I can't even think of the names now. I don't know. But yeah, it's more so the features that kind of stay the same. So like the orange koi metal snakeskin guppies. So obviously you got a color. You got like a pattern style, which would be the snake skin. And then you got, so the metal is like the sheen that goes across the pattern. So you kind of get different guppies and you name them as, or a lot of people make shit up. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's kind of like just crossing guppies with different traits, and then they just kind of become, the name is just a collection of the different traits that you slam together.
The other day I was looking at it and somebody was saying these are lace guppies, and I was trying to, and then the mosaic, and I'm like, well, they kind of look similar. It's like snakins and cobras. It's like, okay, what am I really looking at that makes it a snake skin versus a cobra? And I guess it's like these little formations towards the end of. It's like, really? I mean, I just think it looks like the same freaking fish, except that one should have been a coal, and that would, but I don't know. It's the weirdest thing. So that's why, I it's like I recently got my hands on some what was it? Red Galaxy guppies or something like that, and the black. And I'm looking at them and I go, are these the type that'll put out like half of them or be red and the other one will be black? Because I'm looking at the red one and there's a black one in there with the, it kind of looks similar to the ones in there, but except the tail's black. So I was like, what the hell? So now I got to pull that guy out and put him down here with the ones that are supposed to be the black Galaxy ones, because I don't want him, getting in with those reds. But I also used to have, and I bought this from a guy up there. They were red metallic lace and blue metallic lace, something like that, guppies. And the guy was telling me it's like half of the fry will turn out to be red and the other ones will be blue. So as long as you have a pair of them, you will get that. But I don't know if that was like always or not. So yeah, I got tired of them because I had to be culling consistently the fry out and have separate the tanks if I wanted to keep strictly red or blue. So I was like, that's more work that I care to do right now. So eventually I just let it go. And then eventually they ended up all in the mixed guppies, because people would come in and look at them. They're like, oh, that's cool, whatever. But I've found, at least here locally, they just want the males that have all the color. So it's kind of like, all right, so why am I trying to breed all these lines? Because the idea was, was to try to sell pairs, right? Because that's where you're going to get your most return on guppies. If you can sell them for $15-$20, depending on how rare they are. But people would just kind of look at them, oh, they're cool, whatever, but they weren't going to pay that price. But the minute that they turn around and turn them, sold them for, even if I sold them at $4 a piece, they'd rather get those than pay $15-$20 for a pair. So it's kind of like, all right, so my market dictated line guppies are cool, but they're not going to sell. So I would have to find another source or mail, which I don't want to get into the whole mailing just because it's hit or miss. And I'm of the opinion, if I'm going to buy some fish that are $15, but I'm going to turn around and pay $30 to ship, it's kind of like, well, do I really want these? Because it's kind of doesn't make any sense to me personally. So I don't like the idea of if I could avoid having to ship fish, I will do that. I'd rather find a place locally to be able to, source them out or whatever. So, but I still have my not original, but I still have a few lines of like pure strains. But now I don't necessarily do like a mix tank that I go get mixed fancy. They're my coals. That's all it is. If I see fish that are not meeting the criteria for that line, I throw them in that 55 that I have down here. And then that one becomes like the one where everybody comes in because it has so many different colors that's the one they go to. And I want this one, this one, this one. And I'll sell them like that. But I just found that to be a little bit more profitable in the long run, because you sell more than trying to do straight lines. The straight lines. And the other thing is, most people that are looking for straight lines is they're looking to breed them to try to sell them too. So then it's like real quick, our market gets saturated with that. Whereas we have that PetSmart here, and their fish are just they seem to be getting worse and worse, and I don't get it. And it's not really the store's fault. I think it's just the shipments that they're receiving. That as soon as they put them in their tanks, like half of those fish will be dead, and then the other ones will start getting sick because they're so stressed out. And so it's like most people are like people that know a little bit about fish are kind of looking at them like, nah, I don't want to get those. So
and
so,
that kind of all stems from just the environment. I mean, they're not like a hobbyist ran fish store. I mean, you might have hobbyists that are in the fish store working and actually do know a lot about fish, but all those decisions are made from the top down. So they're not choosing where they're getting fish from or how they're, anything about it. They just have to deal with whatever comes in. And the guys up at the top, all they care about, I'm sure, I mean, is making the money, and they're gonna get the cheapest thing that they can, and it just
Keith, I hope Keith's feeling better today.
Yeah, Jorge, if you don't mind, give me a second. This coffee has officially made its presence known.
No. I do mind. You can't. No, hey, you wanted to be here, so now you got to be here. No, go ahead.
Okay, well, I'll take you with me.
Go do your thing, man.
All right.
I'm gonna take this time to acknowledge some of the people. Keith, so happy to see you, man. I hope you're doing much better. Let's see who else came in here. Let me read some of the comments. Oh, I'm at it. I know some of you guys have been talking back and forth. Let's see. Is there any questions? It says, don't stop on my account. I'm going to be okay. Lurking. All right, Funk. Funk is lurking. I guess Asia is out there in Dallas at the Aquashella. I wonder how that's going. It was really nice to see her yesterday on Eddie's live stream. So I think that was the first time I've seen. Personally, it's the first time I've seen her on a live stream, which was nice. Let's see. I guess Jody was feeling a little under the weather, but seems to be doing better now. How many females do you have? Okay, that was a question for Branton. Apparently, he's got 3 females, his wife and 2 daughters at home. Let's see. That was about kicking the eggs out. Hello, everybody. That's Warren. Other than that, today it was I don't know if you guys, Gabriel's doing great, getting ready for church. They're talking about watching fish. All right. I guess, today, the reason it seems like it might be all over the place is because, there we go. That we're all over the place and not really anywhere is because I misunderstood Branton. I thought he had a special message to tell us something with him and Kyle, and then finally solidifying their bromance into something more serious. But I guess he was just wanting attention. So I told him, come on, we'll have you on.
Yeah, that's much better.
Now you can think.
Yeah.
It's hard to concentrate when you really have to go to the bathroom.
I was like, man, I don't want to poop on camera.
Oh, that was pooping there. You must be a fish then, because that was pretty quick.
Oh yeah, my colon's pretty healthy. It just flies right out of there. Yes, I wash my hands, Gabriel.
Yeah, in the fish tank. Speaking of which, it's interesting. I've always said I think we tend to over exaggerate how delicate fish are. And sometimes we kind of go too far to the extreme of trying to handle them like fragile little creatures, when in reality they're not. Because if you watch some of the videos of how they keep fish in India, I mean, they literally defecate right into the lakes, and the fish come up and eat the waste. So it's kind of like, yeah, your fish are not that delicate, and they're not that picky about what they eat.
Yeah, but I mean, for the most part, And I guess it probably depends on where they're coming from. Obviously, fish coming from that environment are going to be, but
Well, they're
fish coming
catfish.
from yeah,
But catfish are, they're the roaches of the water. I punched the fish in the face. That's how bug makes them a little bit tougher that way.
yeah. But
that's literally a fish club, fish fight club. No, but yeah, no, it's just as far as what you're doing with your fish room. Have you finally figured out like which direction you want to go with and the type of species you want to be breeding? How do you determine that? Is it based on what seems to be popular in your area, or are you going strictly off of what you want to do?
I'm going strictly off what I want to do, honestly. I mean, just stuff I've never tried before. I mean, everything up here I've never bred before, so minus the guppies. I mean, so it just kind of I really should get into a breeders awards program, but I don't even think I got the time for that. So I'll just kind of I'm busy.
Yeah,
but
I know.
Yeah, everything up here is just stuff that I've never bred before, and so far it's going good. I mean, it's been nice.
Yeah, I know our fish club up in Phoenix just started that program, I think in February or March. They just started the I guess I didn't realize, I guess they have to have a special board within the club that you got to have so many people that are running that program, and there's certain requirements. I guess there's a whole, because they had published all these guidelines and stuff that you need to do to be able to do that. I know one of them was documenting, I guess the breeding of the fish. If you can document that as much, they wanted you to document as much as you can, but definitely you showing the eggs, and then showing where the what was it, like every 2 weeks an update of the fry to show how they're growing. But they wanted you to document all this stuff, whether it was a picture or a video. So they wanted you to document that, and then you had to take, I want to say, a minimum of 6 specimens to sell at the club.
Yep, six for that is the standard number. That the other stuff I've never heard of, having to document the process. That's kind of odd, I guess. I mean,
they wanted to make sure you were cheating, that you weren't going to buy the fish and then I'll say, hey, look what I bred.
But with the pygmy sunfish, I mean, it would be, like I said, I got lucky, and they happened to spawn in some moss like right at the front of the tank. And trying to get pictures of them as they progress would be really hard. I don't know.
Yeah, that to me was like kind of like, okay, these guys are wanting you to have like breeder specific tanks where you're pulling eggs and you have all the fry in one. That's not the way I'm set up. I've tried it. I just can't leave shit alone, man. That's my biggest problem. I had all this whole rack that was set up for breeding supposedly, and I was going to do bare bottoms because I didn't want to have to deal with trying to pull eggs out, and not eggs, but fish out, right? And if you have bare bottoms, it makes it pretty easy.
Yeah.
Then it was like, wow, no, if I use cycled media, then I can jumpstart these and I can put fish in there much quicker. So, I was using substrate from other tanks. Well, now you got the substrate, it's like, well, shit, I got trimmings of plants, so I can propagate plants, and and before you know it, it's no longer what I originally. And again, that's what I'm saying. I can't leave shit alone because I'm always having to do something different. Serious question, not trying to start nothing, but do you really care if somebody has a lot of fish clubs, breeder awards or not? I know a lot of extra breeders do not. Yeah, that's just more like it's like the Boy Scouts. It's like a badge, like when you go to the Boy Scouts and they give you these award badges. It really doesn't matter to me because it's true what Funk says. There's a lot of really good breeders out there that they never really participate in fish clubs or anything like that. So to me, that's kind of like, and I know where he's going with that, Because one of his things that he always trips out is he goes, "Why do they always make a big deal about Dean? Because they call him the master breeder, Dean." I
Mm-hmm.
think it's just more of a sign of respect from other people because I don't even know if he's really gone through the clubs and done the whole thing. But it's just, I mean, I think somebody that's been doing this for a while and been breeding several different species and can get especially some of the harder species to breed. To me, they're master breeders, so they can do that. So
Yeah, and
yeah, I
I'm
don't.
the same. The title doesn't really matter to me. The reason I said that I wanted to get into one is just because I'm doing it anyways, so why not? And it's just kind of nice to have, like, I don't know, I guess it would help challenge myself more than anything to breed more things just because I'm chasing that, that next award or whatever. So I think it would be more of a personal thing for me rather than trying to like, brag that, hey, I'm this great breeder or, something like that. I think it would be more of a motivation thing.
Yeah. Well, like Aquaball's just popped in here. I know he's bred so many different species of fish. I mean, you could call him a master breeder. I mean, he's done multiple species. I mean, he's got a big fish room and he's always breeding different stuff in there. And so, I mean, other than the fact that you haven't proved it to somebody else, because that's really what it is. It's just you showing that, yeah, I did this, but it doesn't mean that you have to. I guess at the end of it, if you're running, the only reason I would say that matters is if you're running a business
Yes.
and people that don't know any better, they hear
Mm-hmm.
master breeder and it's kind of like, oh, well, this person really knows what he's doing because he's a master. I think that's the only upside of having that. But I think
Yeah.
a lot of people within the hobby that have been breeding different species of fish through, for years and stuff like that would be on the same level, except they just never really been part of a club um or anything like that. He says, I like Dean, just don't like the fish club jerking each other off to when they give each other awards. Yeah, I see a lot of that too. And I didn't understand uh what Funk was talking about when I initially started getting to the fish club, but it's funny because every time they do award ceremonies, it's always like the same five guys. They're the ones that are giving each other awards. And it's kind of like, all right, whatever. But I've never been too hung up on that. I go there because I like some of the people that are there. I like being able to get my hands on fish that I normally don't come across. And so that to me, that's really the reason. And more than anything else is the community, interacting with other hobbyists, being able to pick people's brains as to, hey, how did you manage to do this? And and I think that's where the value is a lot more in the fish clubs than any of the awards that they hand out. Because at the end of the day, nobody else really knows what the hell they are. In the general public, they could care less what that award
Mm-hmm.
means. I think as hobbyists, we kind of understand, but we've been in the hobby long enough to know that there's a lot of people out there that have been doing similar stuff or even more impressive stuff, and they don't have a title that goes with it.
Yep. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Well,
And like
shit,
I said,
Ed is doing some pretty cool stuff with difficult fish to breed, and you know, I don't know if Ed's a master breeder, but he's
yeah.
he's doing some of the same things that are equivalent to what some of these people are giving this title to.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, it would just be more of a personal kind of thing for, I'd be able to set goals and kind of
Yeah.
keep striving to, you know,
Well, it does
but
challenge you because you have to do so many species, and
yeah.
that I guess it could it like you said, it gives you a target to kind of go, okay, I want to try this, I want to try that. I know they are broken down into the different categories. You get points for the difficulty of the species, the rarity of the species. Um, how if they're eggs, scatters, or they just live bears. Live bears don't really give you a whole lot of points. Let me be clear. I was just talking about the I've been to. I'm sure that there are clubs that are great. I just wish I could go to them because I would. Okay, fine. Can you translate that into English, please? No.
No, he's just saying he's just
Yeah.
talking about what he's seen in the clubs, and he just wishes there were, I guess, better clubs around him.
I guess what he's looking for is clubs that don't have the politics involved with them, but all clubs are going to have some political. I guess that's why from what I gather, the big appeal for clubs is the fact that you can go buy fish at a swap. That's kind of like predominantly the big attraction of fish clubs, which I think it's really cool what you guys have been doing. Well, not you guys. I mean, what's been happening here, where they're doing the auctions on YouTube, because you get to get some of that element that people like going to a club for without getting involved with all the other stuff.
Yep.
And it also gives an opportunity for people that can attend a fish club to experience basically what most people enjoy about a fish club, which is the auction. And I think also like people like yourself, and I guess I could include myself, that allow you to offload, some of the excess that you have without having to wait for that fish club meeting or having to make that trip to the fish store or whatever. I don't know how far that is for you, but for me, you're talking about a 3.5 hour drive. So it's a whole day commitment to go take fish to a store. So it's got to be more than just, if I go up to Phoenix, it's got to be more than just going to drop off a few fish, because whatever money I make on that, I probably spend more on gas just to get there.
Yeah, no, Tristan's is only, like I said, depending on traffic, it's like 30-40 minutes. It's not too bad. I religiously go there. I usually go on Saturdays. I try and go there every week and just say hello and kind of talk about, what new he's got going on, what new I got going on, and it's not terrible for me. The closest club would be, we had Madison and Milwaukee. Madison closed down, but Milwaukee would be the closest one, and that's like an hour drive. And I just, an hour drive and then sitting there for 2 hours and an hour drive back, that's 4 hours. It'd be on a Friday night, I think, is when they have their meeting. So I'd literally have to get off work, drive straight there, and I wouldn't come back till I just don't have the time for that with the family. I just don't.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's just, because club meetings could be, it's a whole day event. I mean, that's really what it is. It takes up most of your morning and definitely most of your afternoon, because typically it'll start around noon. But if you're going to be selling fish, you got to show up a little bit earlier, because you got to put your stuff out in there. You got to, at least in our club, you got to fill out forms. You got to specify what you're putting on the table. You got to put a starting bid on what you want for it. A lot of the times I just take stuff because I just want to get rid of it. So I'll put like $1 starting bid. And, so it's just, I don't care, because I just need to get rid of it. And I don't want to, that's the easiest way to get rid of stuff. Because what sucks though sometimes is that, depending on, and I try to avoid, like, I'm not taking a bunch of mixed fancy guppies and putting them up for $1. That's not the place for me to do it. But like, I have a bunch of least killy fish, which nobody cares about them here locally. But if I take them to the fish club, I can fetch, $5-8 for a bag of 6. And that's the quickest way for me to offload some of those fish. Because, people in the hobby would be more interested in them than just your common person. And then that sounds a lot also like with a lot of the rarer species, a lot of like your gadeids, lemias, and stuff like that. Most people out here in the street don't know that that's not what they want to do. But you go to a club and you find more people that are like, oh yeah, I know what that is, what it represents, and they want to keep that. People that sound like Pep. He's talking to Pep.
Yeah. Well, Peplin had suggested, or Brian had suggested that let me scroll up here. I can't scroll. What's going on? Oh
Someone can
god.
make a club
Yeah.
of our fish fam, and we would be online BPA and use the auction to move the babies. Yeah, there's enough people shipping. Yeah, I think that's the only hindrance is when it comes to the shipping side of it. And I think a lot of the issues, some of the issues that have happened from the auction was due to shipping.
Hmm.
People not shipping out what they were supposed to ship out, or I don't know, or when you received them, they weren't alive anymore.
Yeah. And see,
But
I think that because it's one thing to have stuff happen, it's one thing to have stuff come up, it's one thing to have stuff delayed, but I think the most important thing when it comes to the auctions is there's got to be the line of communication. I mean, you when all the when the problems start is when one of the parties is just left guessing what's going on. I mean, there has to be a line of communication. There's, I'm pretty easygoing. Anything, I'm good with most anything as long as I know what's going on. I mean,
oh, that's right. You you were part of that whole
yeah.
situation. Did you ever get
And
your fish?
it wasn't fish, it was plants. And that was the issue. I mean, it was a thing where I had no idea what was going on, and I tried
Mm,
to communicate, and I was patient for a week, and after that it got to the point like, what, I'm getting mad because it takes like 3 minutes to reply to an email. I mean, I, I don't know what you could possibly have going on in your life to where you don't have a spare 3 minutes to keep a business transaction that you willingly entered into going
yeah.
smoothly. But I mean, the communication is key. I feel like there's a lot of things that happen in people's lives, but as long as you make the person that entered into this business transaction with know what's going on, things usually work out pretty good. It's when you break that line of communication and leave people guessing what's going on that it goes bad.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's but I guess there's just always going to be issues with how things are
Hmm.
done. But yeah, I get it. It's not that hard. So,
Yeah, it's not.
and it's not like it could be difficult to get a hold of somebody. I mean, we all know enough people where if you don't have somebody's direct line of communication, you can get it.
Hmm.
You can get it.
Yes.
It's not very hard for people to get my phone number if somebody want to reach out to me because there's plenty of people out there that have it. So,
Hmm.
it's not that difficult. So, but I guess it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I do
So
appreciate. I know there's some people that I don't like this and this and that, but you always have the choice of not participating if you don't like it. Just
yeah, well, exactly. And that goes the other way too. I mean, if you plan on like, I mean, so like the last auction I did with Jeff, I let it known up front. I said, hey, I had delays in shipping from the auction before, the Bryan and Peplin benefit auction. It was still cold here in Wisconsin, so I was going to wait a week to ship out everything. So when I did Jeff's auction, I let it be known right away that, hey, these aren't going to be going out right away. They'll be a week later because I'm a week behind. And like I said, I mean, as long as you let people know what's going on, that eliminates pretty much all the problems.
yeah. Let's
But
see. What are these guys
I
talking
I
about?
I I like the auctions. I mean, I think they're fun. It's a great way to, like you said, people that don't have access to that stuff, they now have access, and I think that's
I
really neat.
I think the only confusion, especially for somebody that's a newcomer to the auction, and I know they announced this like at the beginning, but I think where people get sometimes confused because I'll see where people will get a little crazy on bidding on the fish, not realizing that they still have to pay shipping on top of that. I wish there
Hmm.
was a way that where it could be worked out that the shipping price was kind of like the starting point of what the what the fish costs, so that way when you're said and done, what you paid for, you're going to get the fish already shipped. But I know there was a couple of situations in the beginning where they had X fish for sale, and it went for like 30 or $40, and then they were surprised that they still had to pay an additional $25-15 for shipping, and they were like, "What? I mean, it doesn't include shipping." So I don't know how you work around it, other than over time people learning that you're bidding on the fish, but the shipping is separate. Maybe if something could be worked out where the price, but that's all different, because where you might not have an issue with saying, all right, if I can sell them for more than this, I'll ship them for free, because you in your mind have already covered what you wanted to get for the fish and what you knew was shipping is going to cost you. Where somebody that's never necessarily shipped fish before and they want to sell fish because it's an opportunity to sell fish, and then now it's like, oh shit, now I got to pay for shipping. So it's I don't know if it's something that with time people get educated and they start understanding that is, or if there's a better way to communicate that, so that when people, because people get a little crazy when it comes. I've seen some fish that I'm like, you're really going to pay that much for that fish? And on top of that, you still got to pay an additional X amount of money for shipping. It's kind of like, okay, they're all yours.
Yeah, and honestly, I've never thought about it like that before, but that's kind of a neat idea. So like, say I've got, some shrimp that I want to sell, and obviously there's the option to have the bid start at a number. So maybe you would just say, hey, shipping's $20, or the bid starts at $20, shipping included.
Yeah.
Something like that. I mean, that, so anything on top of that $20 is what you're paying for the fish or shrimp or whatever. It's not a bad idea, honestly.
I think that as a seller, as somebody that sells and ships, you can figure that out relatively easy. So, you already know, okay, well, I know if I get this amount for these fish and the shipping, okay, I know you're happy because you know what you were trying to get for them. Oh, Jesse's you called me on that already. I know. I'm pretty excited to see you do the review on that linear pump. Hager's got
Jesse, is that the same one I just got?
I know that Hager had one that they put out that looks like the ones that Gemco and Aquarium Co-op sell, that big linear air piston pump. Well, they've been advertising one for a while, and I had reached out for them and said, hey, can I try this product? But it was so new that they kind of told me no. But I guess Jesse finally got a hold of them, and it's the same one. And you look at the casing and everything, it looks like those regular big fish room air pumps, but it's like half of the cost. So I'm really curious. I'm really hoping for Jesse to do the review on that, because I want to see if they're as efficient as what you're buying for twice as much.
Yeah. Jesse, drop a link for that in the channel. I'm pretty sure it's the same one that I have, because the one I have is a linear piston pump. I just put out the review on it yesterday.
Oh, okay. Is it black?
Yeah, it's black. It's got Hydra on the top. It's like a big cube. The thing's a beast. I got the 1270 gallon per hour one, so the 40 watt. I've got 40 drops running off of that one with room to expand. I mean, the thing is nice.
Yeah. So I'm not the only one that's been watching this kind of go on. And, it's just kind of like, all right, well, I get it. I mean, I know you want those fish, but are you really considering the fact that you're still going to have to pay for that shipping, extra shipping? But auctions, they just kind of bring that in people. I've seen at my fish club, it's so weird, because you look at certain fish and you go, okay, well, I can go to the fish store right down the street and probably get them for like, $6-8 a piece. But those same fish will pop up in a swap, and people just go crazy. And it's like, you're paying 3 times as much as what the fish store is selling them to you for. And so, yeah, I don't know. Hey, Alex. The real
Yeah,
test will be
Alex.
how long it was last. And oh yeah, for the air pump.
Yeah, I agree. So far so good with all the Hydra products they've sent me and I've tried. I mean, everything I have has worked out of the box and it hasn't gone wrong on me yet. That last pump I had, that AC/DC pump, so with the battery backup, that thing powered a lot of tanks too. And it's kind of nice that I've got that sitting in the wings, you know, ready to hop in case I lose power. But this pump here that I have, I mean, this thing, like I said, because all I had to do was unplug the air line from that first one and plug it into the new one. And as soon as I did that, it lit these tanks behind me on this, which way am I going here? This stand here. Yeah, the rack here. It blew the polycarbonate lids off and I had water spraying out from the sponge filters. I was like, oh shit. So I quick cranked the power down and clean up water, and yeah, it was.
Well, I got because AQQA is basically a sister company of Hager. They don't like the fact that you say that, but they really are, because it's kind of the same products, just repackaged. Sometimes the only thing they change is the logo on the product, because it's the same company. I got a little air pump. I don't know, smaller than this cigarette pack, probably about the size of this, and that one is literally running the entire rack back here, and it's super quiet compared to the one that I had, which is this one, this little sucker. This one worked great, and it's a small one, but it was super loud. I mean,
yeah. See, this one I got now is not very loud. Let's see if I got the same one here as Jesse.
See, let me get him on. Let me get you on full screen.
Here we go. So is this the one you're talking about, Jesse?
Yeah, that's the one. Well, at least that's the one that I kept telling Jesse about.
Yeah, this thing's a fucking monster.
How big is it?
It's not very loud. The specifications are on the website, but here's my hand.
Oh, okay. That's what I wanted to see compared to something
so I can put my hand top and bottom.
And you have really small hands too, so.
But yeah, I mean, there's the intake filter, so I mean, you can change that real easy. I mean, it just pops on and off. And like I said, I've got this 18-way gang valve, and then it's going into all kinds of other different valves. And
dude, it's time for you to do a little manifold.
Running these one buckets, of those PVC and then, pipes all the way across the room. So I mean, it's running every one of these tanks. Some of them have multiple air sources. I mean, it just, it's running this whole room, no problem.
How many tanks do you have in there?
20. I don't know. I'd have to.
Roughly, more than 20, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So. And you said, are you having to turn it down, or are you kind of maxed out with the 20 plus tanks?
No, I've got room. I've got room to split it up. Personally, I think I could split it probably double what I have now. But again, I'm not running anything crazy deep. These are all 10, 29 little tanks. So I've got that going for me. But yeah, I've got it split. I think it's 38 or 40 ways currently. So I've got 38, 40 sources of air currently pushing, and it's sweet.
And it's not even maxed out yet, right?
No, I don't think so. Not even close.
Yeah. Hey, Constantine made it in here. Let's see.
Yeah, because as of right now, everything I have running is choked back, because if I open it all the way, it's gonna do it's gonna blow the lids right off again. So sorry, go ahead and
No, I was just just kind of looking at who did come in here. Small time tanks is in here also. Well, Jesse, Jeffro. It looks like Ryan is also in here. Who else? Oh, David's Aquatics. Who else? I just told AQQ kick rocks because they were trying to push me back on what. Okay, yeah.
So Jesse, was that the same pump then?
Is he still here? Yeah, he's still here.
Should be.
Let's see. Looks. Yeah, he hasn't responded yet. So, but I think it's the same one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had seen those. They came out, I think, at the beginning of the year, and like I said, I found them on Amazon because I was looking for. I was just periodically I'll jump in there and looking at stuff and I saw actually I was actually on the actual Hagar Amazon page because they that's I remember what it was. They had sent me an email to see if I still wanted to do another review for a product of theirs, and I was looking to see what I could use in my fish room, and everything else they had in there is stuff that I would normally wouldn't use. But I saw that air pump and I thought, oh, this could definitely be something that I could definitely put to use.
Mm-hmm.
But when they said no, we're not sending that out yet, and I don't know if it was because it was still relatively new or what the deal was with it, um, but yeah, they. Oh no, I know what it was. They wanted me to become an affiliate because they had changed their policies. They wanted me to become an affiliate. I was like, no, I ain't affiliating myself with you guys. If you guys want me to review a product, I'll do it. But because they want you to, there were some other requirements where you had to put their link on your thing with a 10% discount and your name and, for the code and all this. I was like, nah, I, I, I don't want to do that. So that's
Mm-hmm.
why I said no. But even still, they recommended something else. They wanted me to review products that they wanted to push, and I was like, I'm not interested. I'm sure you'll find
Yeah.
other takers.
Yeah. And at first, that's what they were kind of doing with me. I went back and forth a while with that very
Yeah,
first product. It's like I broke it down for. Her. I was like, honestly, I'm not gonna like I'm not trying to review a product that I have no use for because it would just be weird like reviewing something that I didn't want. So
yeah,
yeah, I don't.
yeah. Something you're not going to be able to use, or it's just kind of like I think the only thing that I ever accepted. No, there's two things that I've done from Hager. That's right. One of them was their knockoff Python, the Python system, the
Okay.
water change system. And the only knock I have on theirs is one, the hose is too thin. The inner diameter is way too small for my liking. And all the fittings were like super brittle. The plastic was like that cheap brittle plastic because the minute you dropped it, it would shatter.
Hmm.
And I was like, and I told them, I said, no, this product is not. I wouldn't recommend it because if you over tighten the connectors, you could break them real easy. And I'm not
Mm-hmm.
talking about like super cranking them. If you because the plastic was so fragile and brittle, um, there was just what is hey Jorge, is there a cork board where people buy and sell and trade in my LFS? I'll always check before I hit eBay or marketplace. I like that with the hype. I think he was talking to Jose, not me. I was just trying to see if I had missed something. Uh, watch while. Okay, so hey Jesse, I guess what happened is Brandon was trying to see if the pump you got to review was the same one that he got first. Tried to stir up shit. They rode yes many times as a you and I feel okay. And I didn't want. Yeah, I don't want to be affiliated with anybody. Or I don't want to be held to because the way I read their stuff, they were going to send you stuff to review, and you really didn't almost have a say in it from what I read. And it's like, well, why am I going to be doing it on a product review on something that one I've never used, and two I don't have a need for, and then what am I going to do with it? So it's kind of like I opted out. I said no, thank you. And
Mm-hmm.
they still send me emails periodically, and it's kind of like, yeah, no, I don't think so. And I'll go look before I answer. If there's any products that I can for my style of fish keeping that I could actually do a review for because I mean, we could all do a review on the hang on the back or something like that, but I don't use them.
Yeah.
So, am I going to set it up just to do a review on it? I don't feel that's like an honest review to begin with, because that's more of an unboxing. I'll unbox something and tell you what it came in with it, but I can't review it because I haven't used it.
Yeah. And
So,
that's, you know, I make it pretty clear in all my videos that I've done so far for Higer that this is an initial review. I try and get it set up and let it run for at least 3 weeks to a month. And, you know, that way at least it's got a little bit of time in it. But, you know, come a year, I'm going to go back and I'm going to review these products. And if they break, I'm going to tell you guys they break. If there's stuff I don't like about it, there's, you know, I'm going to be honest and, you know, long-term review these things, you know. I mean, not that a year's terribly long, but, you know, so we'll see.
It's well, first of all, Jesse, thank you so much for the super chat. And but yeah, you can review a product if you've only had it up for a few days. I mean, what kind of an honest review is that? I mean, you could say, yeah, it works, but how long did it work for? How well did it work for? Those are things you're only going to figure out with prolonged amount of use. It's like that. I did an unboxing for that little air pump. I think now it would be a reasonable amount of time to do a review and say, yeah, you know what? It is worth, in my opinion, it's worth the money you're paying for, because I know it's running all of these aquariums. It's real small. It's real quiet. It's about the same price as the one that I showed you, that old little barrel kind of air pump, but it's a quarter of the size and super quiet compared to that one.
Yeah.
And it'll run the same amount of, because that was running the same amount of tanks. So yeah, that's that in my opinion, and it's held up. It's been running, that air pump does run 24/7, and it doesn't overheat. That's the other thing with that other one. That other one would get hot to the touch. You know, you can leave your hand in there long enough and it'll probably burn you. But this other one, it's a lot better. It's a better design, I guess, and it works just as good. I like to see these reviews if they had to buy it with their own money and have it compared to the other brands. Well, the other thing is also, I've heard where people are actually bought it and they're totally disappointed with the product, and they're trying to release the video, and Hager will say, nope, we don't want you to get rid of that video. So, you know, when you find out about stuff like that, it's kind of like, well, how much do you really want to work with a company that is kind of shady? You know, they don't want you to give your honest opinion. They tell you they want your honest opinion only if it's favorable. If it's unfavorable, it's kind of like, yeah, we don't want to hear about it.
And see, I haven't gotten that vibe. I mean, my interaction's been great so far. I mean, the rep that I'm talking to, which is anybody that's doing these reviews, I think we all talk to the same person, which is Nicole.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if Nicole is really one person,
but that's the alias everybody's in contact with. But the communication's been great. I mean, I've got no complaints so far.
Yeah. I just, like I said, I know Jeffro was saying, well, you can do a free a giveaway or something like that, but I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I'd rather not have to deal with it. If it's not something that I truly believe in, I don't want to pass my opinion on it. So I just, I figured if I'm going to review something, is because I could definitely use it in my fish room. And I'm going to put it to use. The other thing that I did get from them was an algae scraper that I used at the Children's Museum, and that shucker works great for what I'm using it for. So, you know, I did a review on that, and I said, yeah, it works. I mean, it's an algae scraper. What, you know, how much in-depth review can you do on? This one, you know, it only takes you one pass versus two passes. I mean, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah,
as a man with a different name.
and that was kind of, you know, with this air pump, it's like, you know, during my video, it's like, how much can you say about it? So I just kind of, you know, with the air pumps, what my goal was is to kind of push it to its limits and see what it can handle. So
yeah, Yeah, it's just but I get the appeal. Some people like the fact that they're going to get a free product. Again, if you're going to be able to use it, why not? Have at it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I already got enough junk as it is. Not junk, but like a lot of excess equipment that is just laying around here. And I don't want to throw it away because I know somebody can use it. Um, but it's kind of like it's getting to the point now where it's going to be easier to chuck it in the trash than it is to try to find somebody to give it to. Because I don't know how many times I've put it out and I've advertised it, and they, oh yeah, I'll be by for it today, or this afternoon, and you're sitting around and like, all right, well, they said they were coming this afternoon, and they don't show up, and then you'll reach out to them, and you're giving it away. It's not like you're
Yeah.
selling it, right? And it's like, oh well, I had something come up, and so can I come and get it, X amount of days, and it never really happens. It's kind of like, all right, whatever. It's just why am I going through this trouble of trying to give something away? It's not like I'm trying to sell it. I get better
Mm-hmm.
response when I put a price on it than when I'm trying to give it away for free. So I have a whole Foot Locker full of a bunch of equipment. I've got some little canister filters and stuff like that that I've been trying to get rid of. And so now that I found that fish swap that they do every month up there in Phoenix,
Mm-hmm.
I had Adelina on here, and we were talking about that whole thing that she does. Now I just got to coincide with the date that they're having the event, because this one they were having it, but it's in Flagstaff, that puts me at about 6 hours drive for me. And it's like, nah, I ain't going up there to dump off some trash. But the next time they have one in the Phoenix area, I'll just take all this stuff up there, put $1 on it, and it'll go. I know it'll go. Because
Yeah.
a lot of the people that are going there are hobbyists. Shit, I got one of those little Eheim. Is it a 250? I forget what series number. It's the little round. It looks like a little Coke bottle kind of canister filter. I put $1 on that, and they'll take it, even if it's for parts. They'll take it. You know. So I've got a bunch of those that are laying around, and I just need it. Once I get rid of that, it'll actually open up some space in here where I can start decluttering more the fish
Mm-hmm.
room. But well, do you have anything else you want to talk about? We've been talking nonsense for almost an hour and a half. We really haven't really talked about anything.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, I talk about whatever. It
You got
don't matter to me.
any now? Are you do you have a website, a page, or something that you sell fish to ship out, or you just strictly staying locally with your fish?
Yeah, I mean, just word of mouth, really. No, that's about all I got. I
Well,
mean,
that's all
if
bad word of mouth then.
yeah, I mean, if anybody wants anything I got, I mean, just reach out or wait for me to pop up in one of the auctions. I mean, yeah. Otherwise, I mean, I'm not really pushing it because, like I said, I can bring whatever to Tristan, and it's not like
Yeah, you don't find yourself pressed to trying to get
yeah.
offload fish.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, if anybody in the community really wants something that I got, feel free to reach out. I mean, I've got stuff growing out for people already. I got some pygmy cories growing out down here for Scotty. I've got some Borelli babies down here growing out. I know Jeff Pelham wanted some. I think a couple other people might have wanted some. I think Ed wanted some of the Epistos. So yeah, I mean, it's if anybody wants anything, just let me know.
What's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
I mean, email works, but Facebook Messenger is probably the easiest one to not get passed over. I mean, I get a lot of emails a day, So yeah, either one works, honestly. It'd either be email or Facebook Messenger. Discord's another good one. If you got my phone number, obviously, that's probably the best.
Yeah, I'll make sure I post it up here in the community chat so people can reach out and send you pictures of their fish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I thank you, John, for dropping Brandon's link. So did Lori. Thank you so much for that. Well, dude, for not having anything to talk about, we've been jabbing for almost an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Like I said, if you don't have anything else, if you're not gonna come out and finally make your announcement, then I guess we could call it for the
We'll
day.
see. I don't know if Kyle's comfortable with that, so we'd have to maybe get him up here too.
I don't even know if Kyle's watching. He's probably still asleep.
He's
the lazy
he's
bum.
probably sleeping. I know he had Thursday and Friday off, so he's riding a 4-day vacation right now.
Oh. Yeah. So, well, with that being said, I want to thank everybody that was here with us. I want to thank Jesse for that super chat, and everybody else. I hope you guys have the rest of a wonderful day, and we'll catch you guys on the next one, Tuesday at 6:00 Pacific time. I guess 9:00 Eastern. A little bit late for the Eastern people. Fish Nerd will be joining me. His name's Marco, and we'll get to know him a little bit better. But till then, I'll catch you guys on somebody else's live stream. You guys take care.
See you guys.
Anything? All right.
Yep.